There's no address.
So,
Okay.
Then you need to call my mother.
I already did that and I spoke to your brother also. That's why these two recommendations were made.
Why in the hell would I go to Waterbury?
Where do you want to go then, Derek?
You need to lower your voice, partner.
I gotta make sure you can hear me because we're on video here. I have to speak up so I can hear you and you can hear me. I'm not
Where can you
raising my
put me? I
voice.
haven't done anything. All that court and stuff in court was thrown out. It was nollied and non-judicial discharge.
Correct. And we're not that. She wants to know where you want to be housed. You wanted me to speak to your mother and speak to your brother, and I did. And these are the two options they gave me. Do you have a preferential place you want to be placed at? You can't go with your mother and you can't go with your brother. I spoke to them like you asked me to.
So where the hell am I supposed to go?
And you might remember this hearing, and that's because we played it a handful of months ago, and I'm only bringing it back to you because Sir Richard pointed out that he has returned. So we are going to watch the initial part in case you haven't seen it. If you already have, feel free to fast forward to about the 15-minute mark for hearing number 2. Just remember, something shocking does happen at the end of this hearing. I'll unpack it with some additional details in between. With that, let's jump in.
Okay, we're here for your revocation hearing. So we're going to get started with that. Good morning, I'm P.O. Meisier, hearing examiner for the Board of Pardons and Paroles. This is our revocation hearing concerning Sims Derek, number 300-964. Today's March 12th, 2024. This hearing is being conducted via video at the BOP Central Office in Osborne Correctional Institution. This is a public hearing. Public access to this hearing is available via video live stream. Can you please state to me your full name and DOC inmate number for the record?
Derek Sons,
And what's your inmate number?
300-964.
Your counsel here today, you can identify yourself.
Sure. Attorney Alfonso Sirico, public defender with the Parole Revocation Unit on behalf of Mr. Clemens this morning.
This is a revocation hearing to determine whether you have violated the conditions of your release. I will review and make findings of fact with each of the charges against you. The state, not you, have responsibility to prove the allegations by a preponderance of evidence, that is. The better weighted evidence must establish that more probably than not the allegation is true. If I do not find there is a preponderance of evidence to support a violation of one or more conditions of your parole, I'll reinstate your parole, which is releasing and placing back on parole supervision. If I find you violated one or more conditions of your parole, I will consider whether or not your parole should be revoked. If I recommend revocation, I'll make recommendation as to appropriate sanction, and my recommendation will be given to a panel for a final decision. If the panel wishes to impose a sanction beyond my recommendation, a supplemental hearing would be provided to justify additional confinement. So this is the procedure for today's hearing. I'm going to read you your rights. Then we're going to review the parole violation charge, state your appeal is bringing against you. I will review and identify exhibits filed for the record. Counsel will then have an opportunity to present relevant testimony. After considering all the evidence presented, I will announce my findings. If I find you violated one or more conditions of your parole, counsel will have an opportunity to speak to your background history. Do you have any questions about the purpose or procedure?
No.
You have important rights at this hearing, which I will now review with you. Right to have an attorney present, you have counsel here. You have right to receive the written notice charged in a violation. Did you receive the written notice? You have right to review the evidence against you before this hearing, right to submit evidence in support of your case. At this hearing, right to call and examine voluntary witnesses or cross-examine reverse witnesses. Do you understand these rights and are you ready to go forward?
No.
So we'll now review the charge, state your appeal is bringing against you. In reason underlying each charge, so charge 1, obey all laws of each law. Your charging officer reported on 10/30/23, you were arrested on a warrant from Connecticut State Police charging you with disorderly conduct, threatening second, some incident on 10/13/23. On 10/13/23, CSP responded to Open Heart Halfway House located in Charter Oak Ave in Hartford for reports of threats. Upon arrival, police spoke to the victim. A Halfway House staff employee who reported you threatened to beat him to death. The victim reported that you threatened the staff person, stating you would fuck him up, put him through a wall, and beat him to death. Staff reported that while you were making threats to kill the staff person, you stepped towards the victim in an aggressive manner. You appeared in court on the charge of disorderly conduct, threatening second, and you were convicted of threatening second-degree physical threat, in which you received unconditional discharge. And the charge of disorderly conduct was nolly. Charge 2, under some conditions, Halfway House placement, your charging officer reported on 10/30/23. You were arrested on a warrant from Connecticut State Police charging you with disorderly conduct, threatening second, stemming from an incident at 10/13/23. And 10/13/23, Connecticut State Police responded to Open Heart Halfway House located at Hartford, Connecticut for reports of threats. Upon arrival, police spoke to the victim A halfway house staff employee reported you threatened to beat him to death. The victim reported you threatened the staff person, stating you would fuck him up and put him through the wall and beat him to death. Staff report that while you're making threats to kill the staff person, you stepped towards the victim in an aggressive manner. You violate halfway house condition. I will treat others with respect and not engage in physical or physical allegations with others by person, staff, or third parties. In the state has filed the following exhibit pre-marked for identification purposes as Exhibit A, agreement in actual custody. B, notice of parole violation. C, parole violation report. D, parole conditions. E, halfway house conditions. F, arrest warrant application. Connecticut State Police case number ending 8711. G is DRMV case defendant lookup docket ending in 172-S, and H is 3 open heart halfway house inch report stating 1323. Did you receive notice of parole violation report, and other documents and marks? Did you review them?
They did.
And council has filed the following exhibits pre-marked for identification purposes. That's Exhibit 1, list of parole accomplishments and future plans for parole reinstatements. Do you need to continue this hearing to obtain any additional evidence?
No.
Okay, we have no witnesses, so now defense opportunity. If you'd like to speak at this time.
Yes, I just make some comments regarding, so Mr. Sims had a previous violation, technical violation, where he was given 3.5 months. He was due to be re-paroled. So my client has actually been incarcerated. I know he was remanded on this particular one on 2/9/24, but he's actually been incarcerated since October 26th of 2023. The charge, this charge number 1, obedience to the law, in my case that I represented him on today, was from an incident that occurred on October 13th of 2023. And then in warrant, he was arrested by the state police on October 30th. That obedience to the law charge at the previous hearing, there was no finding made because it was not part of the parole violation report. So this is
It was not taken into consideration.
correct. It's that conduct that already occurred. I understand he was not charged with the criminal aspect of it at that time, but it was dealt with at the previous hearing with the program participation to do with the same incident. So this is the same incident from the past. No, not new conduct is what I'm trying to put on the record. So my client has been incarcerated since October 26th of 2023. You did correctly put the disposition on the record. He received an unconditional discharge on the threatening second, and the disorderly conduct was not. So I just want to clarify that for the first part of the hearing.
Do you have the other violation?
Yes, I have it. It's Attorney Doyle represented him. It was disposed on. He got a 3.5 month sanction. As I indicated though in the summary of the previous, the status on the I'm not sure why as I indicated this incident occurred on October 13th. He was remanded on October 26th. Why it was not dealt with at the time. It's still that incident from the previous violation. And then he was remanded again. My records indicate February 9th of 2024. So he was never released. They did a warrant for the incident at the halfway house. Once again, this is the same conduct that was dealt with, in my opinion, on the previous one. Obviously, when there's a warrant by the state police, it turns into an obedience to the law. That's what he's here for today.
So I'll be right with you as much as you can.
Did you make finding yet?
No, not yet. I just wanted to check. So I am going to announce my findings. So on charge 1, I do find you violated the no bail laws of abuse of law based on your conviction or threatening second. Proceed to sentence to unconditional discharge. Also based on exhibit C, F, and G. On charge 2, I do find you violate additional board condition after house placement based on the evidence provided, exhibits A, E, F, and H. That includes the fact-finding portion of the hearing. Before I make a recommendation, counsel will have an opportunity to give background on the history. This perfect part of the hearing is some term outcome I will recommend. So if you'd like to.
Yes, we have Mr. Simons, I am respectfully requesting he be reinstated at the next board review, based on what I just put on the record. He's been incarcerated since October 26, 2023. He was given the previous sanction. He was remanded again, so he was never released. He's been incarcerated on this one since February 9th. So he served that 3.5-month sanction on the technical violation. The disposition from court here was an unconditional discharge. My client, he's 50 years old. On his previous release, he was self-sponsored in Manchester, and then he was at the Open Hearth Halfway House program in Hartford, and he also spent some time in IOL in Hartford. Looks like he did begin studying English in Manchester Community College, and he does aspire to major in psychology. He did report to us, worked for a security guard for Green Mountain Concert Services, also was employed at Outback Steakhouse, Applebee's, and he is a cook in a convalescent home in South Windsor for approximately 2 years. As far as plans for reinstatement, he would like to be placed in a halfway house in Waterbury or the New Haven area due to proximity.
Yeah. I don't live anywhere near Waterbury, New Haven.
But that's what we discussed, Derek.
We did not discuss that. I don't live anywhere near Waterbury or New Haven. I have no ties with Waterbury or New Haven.
Where do you want to go?
Oh,
Doesn't have home.
There's no address.
So
Okay.
then you need to call my mother.
I already did that, and I spoke to your brother also. That's why these 2 recommendations were made.
Why in the hell would I go to Waterbury?
Where do you want to go then, Derek?
You need to lower your voice, partner.
I gotta make sure you can hear me because we're on video here. I have to speak up so I can hear you and you can hear me. I'm not
Where can you
raising my
put me? I
voice.
haven't done anything. All that court and stuff in court was thrown out. It was nollied and non-judicial discharge.
Correct. And we're not that. She wants to know where you want to be housed. You wanted me to speak to your mother and speak to your brother, and I did. And these are the 2 options they gave me. Do you have a preferential place you want to be placed at? You can't go with your mother and you can't go with your brother. I spoke to them like you asked me to.
So where the hell am I supposed to go?
You have to go, we have to place you somewhere. We need to know what area.
What part of the state? That's why you asked me to do something, Derek. I did reach out to your
I
family.
never even spoke to you.
I spoke to you on the telephone 2 times. You did speak to me. Last time I spoke to you was February 27th. I have those in my file.
I don't recall that. I'm just being honest with you.
Okay, no, that's fine. But she's asking you, we want to know where you want to be placed. She wants to place you somewhere so I can get you out.
I don't even know anybody in Waterbury.
Well, you don't have to go to Waterbury. Where do you want to go? What area?
In the Hartford area.
Hartford. Okay. Okay.
And where would that be?
I don't know. I'm not the field officer, so I don't know where you'd be placed. But if you want to go to the Hartford area, we can look to place you in the Hartford area.
But where would I be placed is what I mean.
I'm telling you, I don't have that information. It'd be a halfway house, most likely.
But I can't go back to the Open Hearth.
There's other halfway houses.
Where? I need to get out of here today.
You're not leaving today.
When will I be leaving?
That's what we're gonna get to. We're gonna continue and then you're gonna know. All right. Do you have anything else you'd like to say?
No, that's it. Like I said, he asked me to speak to his family members. I did. So but I put on the record what I needed to put regarding the disposition in court and how long Mr. Simons has been incarcerated for.
Okay, thank you. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I know there's a prior violation, as well as the new conviction for the threatening second. So I am going to make a recommendation that parole be revoked and that he be re-paroled for May 9th, 2024. It's about a 3-month period confinement as a sanction. Since what ends up being about 6.5 months from the 10/26/23 date. I recommend the following parole conditions: halfway house placement, no consumption of alcoholic beverages, no contact with victim IM and KJ, a general no contact with Colleen and Elizabeth, behavior management program for domestic violence, problem sexual behavior treatment, mental health evaluation, no contact with minors. I'm going to present the case to the board March 21st. So the board's gonna vote on when you get out on March 21st. And then we're gonna have the parole board. I'm gonna present you to the parole board on March 21st. And then
March
they're gonna,
21st.
yes, that's the day I have to present your case to the parole board. And then they're gonna give you your parole date. Okay?
What do you mean when am I leaving?
Well, May 9th is the recommended date. So the parole board's
Recommended
gonna
date?
vote, the parole board's gonna vote next week on the 21st.
God, you're kidding me.
That concludes the hearing. You're all set, sir.
Yourself.
No parole for Tate.
Okay.
No parole for Tate.
So,
No parole for Tate. None. Mr. Tate is not getting parole because of anger issues. That's what's going on here. No parole.
I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself. And for those of you who know, you know, and for those of you who have not seen the No Parole for Tate hearing, it is a must see. It is a Connecticut classic, and I'll put a link to it in the description below. But I'm just not going to comment much on this parole hearing because I don't know, what is there really to say? I think we should just jump right in to his next hearing. That is October 28th. Now, let's keep in mind, you know, for those of you saying, Mandoo, you're blah, 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 your empathy, blah, blah, blah. Like what he's initially in for is what he did to a child in 2017, March 17, 2017, okay? He was put in custody, $750,000 bail for essay involving a child. The police never gave the age of the child in the report that Sir Richard found. But, you know, he was charged with second-degree essay, risk of injury, illegal contact, and disorderly conduct. So, you know, that's it. That's where I'm going with that. Anyways, let's go revisit and see if the parole hearing works out any better for him this time.
I'll be right with you. You're Mr. Sims, correct? Yeah? Okay, you're gonna have to answer me with words, okay? Because I can't always see your emotions, okay? I'll be right with you. Okay, good morning. I'm Parole Officer Tricello, and I'm a hearing examiner for the Board of Pardons and Paroles. This is a revocation hearing concerning Derek Sims, inmate number 300964. Today is Monday, October 28, 2024, and this hearing is being conducted via video at the Board of Pardons and Paroles Central Office in Osborne Correctional Institution. Can you please state your full name and inmate number for the record?
Sims,
And your inmate number, please?
300964.
This is a public hearing, and public access to this hearing is available via video live stream. This is a revocation hearing to determine whether you have violated the conditions of your release, and I'll review and make findings of facts to each of the charges against you. The state, not you, has a responsibility to prove the allegations by preponderance of evidence. That is, the better or weightier evidence must establish that more probably than not, the allegation is true. If I do not find that there's a preponderance of evidence to support the violation of one or more of the conditions of your parole, I will reinstate your parole, which means releasing you and placing you back on parole supervision. If I find that you have violated one or more of the conditions of your parole, I will consider whether or not your parole should be revoked. If I recommend revocation, I will make a recommendation as to the appropriate sanction. My recommendation will be given to the panel for a final decision, and if the panel wishes to impose a sanction beyond my recommendation, a supplemental hearing will be provided to justify additional confinement. You should know that a revocation hearing is an adversarial proceeding, and anything you say can at this hearing can be used against you, and this hearing is being recorded. So today's testimony is going to be taken under oath. So Mr. Symes, can you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear, solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give shall be concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
Yeah.
Thank you. We're going to go over the procedure for the hearing. So first, I'm going to read you your rights. Then we will review the parole violation charge that the state, your parole officer, is bringing against you. Then I'll review and identify the exhibits filed for the record. The state is not present at today's proceedings, so you will have an opportunity to present any relevant testimony and any relevant documents towards the charges. After the consideration of all the evidence presented, I will announce my findings. And if I find that you have violated one or more of the conditions of your parole, you will have an opportunity to speak to your background and history. Do you have any questions about the purpose or procedure before we begin?
Nope.
Yeah. You have rights to this hearing, and I'm going to review them each with you now. You have the right to be represented by an attorney at this hearing. You may hire your own attorney, and if you cannot afford an attorney, you may qualify for an appointed attorney to represent you. Were you informed that an attorney can represent you at this hearing? No. Would you intend to seek counsel for this hearing?
No.
So you wish to move forward as your own representation?
Mhm.
Can you just say yes or no, please?
Yes.
Thank you. You also have the right to receive written notice of the charges of violation. Did you receive the written notice? You never
No.
received the written notice? No. Would you like a continuance so that we can provide you with the notice and evidence charged against you? You would. Okay. So just so you're aware, Mr. Symes, that will push your hearing out until November 19th because we need time to get you the packet, okay?
Mhm.
Right. And you still wish to represent yourself, or would you be interested in an attorney?
No, I'm fine.
So no attorney, but you would like a continuance for the
Mhm.
evidence?
Mhm.
Did you move facilities recently? I just want to see, because normally we send it. I mean, did you move facilities recently?
Mhm.
No? I do have that you signed this notice on August 20th, 2024. Does that sound familiar, that you met with your parole officer and
Mhm.
signed the notice and received it from them?
No.
That does not sound familiar. You don't believe that that happened?
Sure it happened.
Where would you would have been in Hartford County. So you do not believe that that is your signature?
Mhm.
Okay, let me just consult with my supervisor quickly, because I just want to make sure that we can continue it for that date, okay? Okay, we're back on the record. Thank you, Mr. Symes. I just wanted to consult with my supervisor that we can get the evidence to you, okay? So we're going to continue this case, but you do understand that at the continuance date, we're going to move forward with the revocation process, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll continue this until November 5th, 2024, based on the offender's request to receive his evidence and review his evidence. I am going to ask one more time, since we do have a continuance already. Are you sure you are not interested in an attorney?
Mhm.
Can you use yes or no, please, and speak loudly so
No.
you can hear it? No, you do not want an attorney. Okay. All right, so we will continue this case until November 5th, 2024, for Mr. Symes to get his evidence as he requested. All right, you are all set, Mr. Symes. Thank you for talking to me, okay? This concludes the revocation hearing for today, October 28th, 2024, for Derek Symes.
You are trash, Lindsay. You are trash.
All right,
You
David,
abuse your authority.
that isn't a
Okay, okay. I mean, we're reintroducing some of Connecticut's most notorious. If you haven't seen that hearing as well, I'll put it in the description below. But yeah, November 5th. Well, it came and went, so we're gonna go and see him return. And I got to tell you, it is a big mistake that he is not taking an attorney, because the attorneys for the revocation in Connecticut, they're actually quite talented. They are impressive. They are. There are a couple that really stand out. They love what they do, and they go to work. So he's, you can't, as you can see, he's, he's just, I don't know what he wants. What is his deal? But maybe third time's a charm.
Are you ready for Mr. Sims?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Maybe he will grow up a little bit. Maybe I don't know, maybe he'll try to help himself. So let's see.
Good afternoon, Mr. Stein. So I am Parole Officer Tristello, and I'm the hearing examiner for the Board of Pardons and Paroles. And this is your revocation hearing concerning Derek Symes, inmate number 300964. Today is Tuesday, November 5th, 2024, and this hearing is being conducted via video at the Board of Pardons and Paroles Central Office and Osborne Correctional Institution. Can you please state your full name and inmate number for the record?
Derek Symes,
And what's your inmate number?
964.
Thank you. So this is a public hearing, and public access to this hearing is available via video live stream. We're going to go over the purpose of this hearing. So this is a revocation hearing to determine whether you have violated the conditions of your release. And I will review and make findings of facts to us each charge against you. The state, not you, has a responsibility to prove the allegations by preponderance of evidence, and that is the better or weightier evidence must establish that more probably than not, the allegation is true. If I do not find that there is a preponderance of evidence to support a violation of one or more of the conditions of your parole, I will reinstate your parole, which means releasing you and placing you back on parole supervision. If I find you have violated one or more of the conditions of your parole, I will consider whether or not your parole should be revoked. And if I recommend revocation, I will make a recommendation as to the appropriate sanction. My recommendation will then be given to the panel for a final decision. And if the panel wishes to impose a sanction beyond my recommendation, a supplemental hearing will be held to provide, to justify additional confinement. So you should know that a revocation hearing is an adversarial proceeding, and anything you say at this hearing can be used against you, and this hearing is being recorded. Also, the testimony today will be taken under oath. So Mr. Symes, can you please raise your right hand? You solemnly swear, solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning the case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we're going to go over the procedure now for the hearing. First, I will read you your rights. Then I will review the parole violation charges that the state, your parole officer, has brought against you. Brought against you. Then I will review and identify exhibits filed for the record. The state is not present at today's proceedings. However, you will have the opportunity to present any relevant testimony and any relevant documents. After the consideration of all the evidence presented, I will announce my findings. And if I find that you have violated one or more of the conditions of your parole, you'll have the opportunity to speak to your background and history. Do you have any questions about the purpose or procedure before we begin?
No.
Thank you. So you do have rights for this hearing, and I will read them with you now. You have the right to be represented by an attorney at this hearing, and you may hire your own attorney. And if you cannot afford an attorney, you may qualify for an appointed attorney to represent you. Were you informed that an attorney could be represent you at this hearing?
Yes.
Okay. And do you wish to seek an attorney?
No.
So for today, you are willing to move forward without legal representation?
Mhm.
Can you say yes or no, please?
Yes.
Thank you. You also have the right to receive written notice of the charges of violation. Did you receive that written notice?
No.
You did not. However, I believe my coworker hand delivered it to you on October 29th. Do you remember receiving the paperwork in the hallway at Osborne?
Oh, yeah, I have it over there.
You have it? Okay, so you did receive it. Great. You have the right to review the evidence against you before the hearing, and you have the right to submit the evidence in support of your case. In addition, you have the right to call and examine voluntary witnesses and cross-examine adverse witnesses. Do you understand these rights, and are you ready to move forward?
Mhm.
Yes, can you use yes or no, please?
Yes.
Thank you. So I'm going to review the charges that the state, your parole officer is bringing against you and the information underlying each charge. It will take me a moment to read it, so just bear with me, please. So on charge number 1, condition of halfway house placement, the charging officer reported that on May 9, 2024, you were released from Osborne Correctional Institution and placed at CPA halfway house. Immediately upon intake on 5/9/2024, you were non-compliant with the halfway house rules and agreement. On 5/9/2024, during intake, the program manager asked you if you would like somebody to eat or drink. If you would like something to eat or drink, to which you loudly aggressively responded, "Why the f would I want anything to eat or drink when they," referring to DOC, "stole my uncle's jewelry." You violated rule number 7 of the CPA halfway house agreement, which you signed on May 9th, 2024. I will treat others with respect and not engage in verbal or physical altercations with other offenders, staff, or third parties. On May 14th, 2024, you entered the staff's office and asked for your medication. You were given their prescribed medication, at which point you took the medication from the staff's person, got loud and shouted as you threw the medication into the trash. You then took the medication, at which point out of the garbage, and I ingested the pill. Also on 5/14/2024, while staff was attempting to assist you with directions to an appointment, you repeatedly ignored staff and finally stated, "Leave me alone." You violated rule number 7 of the CPA halfway house agreement, which you signed on 5/9/2024. I will treat others with respect, not engage in verbal or physical altercations with other offenders, staff, or third parties. On June 6, 2024, you told staff you believed someone had stolen your cigarettes. While staff was attempting to help locate your cigarettes, you stated that if you don't get them, you were going to tear the place up. You violated rule number 7 of the CPA halfway house agreement, which you signed on May 9, 2024. I will treat others with respect and not engage in verbal or physical altercations with other offenders, staff, or third party. On June 21st, 2024, you had a visitor come to the halfway house to assist you with your cell phone, later determined to be your brother. Staff repeatedly asked what you were doing, who the visitor was, and you continue to ignore staff and not answer them. The program director was contacted, who intervened when the PD told you that your brother could not be in the building. You got extremely upset with the PD and walked away from her. While doing so, you put up both your middle fingers at her and yelled, "Fuck you," to her. You then proceeded to slam the door. The PD attempted to speak with you about your behavior and you ignored her. You violated rule number 7 of the CPA halfway house agreement, which you signed on 5/9/24. I will treat others with respect and not engage in verbal or physical altercations with other offenders, staff, or third parties. On 6/24/24, you instigated a verbal altercation with another resident of the halfway house. You were observed getting aggressive with him. You called the other offender a pretty boy and asked him how he liked getting in the mouth or butt. At this point, you and the other offender were face-to-face arguing. Staff had to intervene and separate you, and while staff was physically in the middle of you two, you aggressively ran towards the other offender. You violated rule number 7 of the CPA halfway house agreement, which you signed on May 9th, 2024. I will treat others with respect and not engage in verbal or physical altercations with other offenders, staff, or third party. On June 24th, 2024, CPA program director formally requested your removal from the CPA halfway house due to the danger you pose to other residents. Your continued non-compliance with halfway house rules and staff directions. On June 25th, 2024, you were unsuccessfully discharged from the CPA halfway house for continued violations of program rules. On June 25th, 2024, you were moved to the Cheney halfway house after being unsuccessfully discharged from CPA halfway house due to your continued aggressive and inappropriate behaviors. During the intake, you ignored staff and eventually became aggressive and responded to them, "Hurry up and don't fucking talk to me." You violated rule number 7 of the Cheney House halfway house agreement, which you signed on 6/25/24. I will treat others with respect and not engage in verbal or physical altercations with other offenders, staff, or third parties. On July 14, 2024, at approximately 12:10 a.m., halfway house staff entered your assigned shared room to conduct a count in accordance with halfway house policies. Upon entering the room, the roommate addressed staff and stated, "Hello." You immediately sat up in your bed and yelled, "Shut the fuck up, you stupid little Puerto Rican." The roommate walks to your bed and asks, "Who do you think you're talking to?" You yelled, "I can talk to whoever I want, when I want, you stupid little Puerto Rican." You had to be separated from the roommate. You violated rule number 7 of the Cheney House Halfway House Agreement, which you signed on June 25th, 2024. I will treat others with respect and not engage in verbal or physical altercations with other offenders, staff, or third parties. On August 9, 2024, you refused to obtain medical treatment and medication as prescribed for serious medical conditions. Staff attempted repeatedly to assist in scheduling an appointment or having you return to the emergency room for medication, both of which you refused. You violated rule number 10 of the Cheney House Halfway House Agreement, which you signed on June 25th, 2024. I will take all prescribed medications as directed. And on August 15, 2024, during an altercation with your Cheney House case manager, you refused to meet with your case manager as required in the Halfway House. You aggressively slammed the door and made physical contact with the case manager as you aggressively exited the room. You made the case manager feel unsafe. You violated rule number 7 of the Cheney House Halfway House Agreement, which you signed on June 25th, 2024. I will treat others with respect and not engage in verbal or physical altercations with other offenders, staff, or third parties. In addition, you violated the rules listed in the client handbook, page 6, entitled Case Management, which you acknowledged receipt of on June 25th, 2024. In addition, the evidence submitted by the state was identified and marked for the preliminary hearing, and all of that remains the same. Mr. Symes, did you receive, you mentioned before you did receive the notice of parole violation, the parole violation report, and all of the evidence, correct? On October 29th? Okay, great. Thank you. So I have not received any evidence from you. Do you need time to continue this case to submit any evidence on your own behalf?
No.
We do not have any witnesses. So at this point of the hearing, it is your opportunity, Mr. Symes, to respond to the parole violation charges against you. However, remember that you do have the right to remain silent if you choose to do so. So at this time, would you testify to any of the charges brought against you?
No.
So I am going to go over the findings. And I do want to note that this charge was identified at the preliminary hearing in 10 parts. And there was no finding for part number 9 with the charge date of August 9th, 2024. And that, which remains the same. And that part was not taken into consideration for this hearing. So for parts 1 through 8 and part 10, I do find that you violated the condition of halfway house placement based on the evidence provided in support of the charge. And that's exhibit C, D, E, F, and G. So that is the fact-finding portion of the hearing. Before I make my recommendation, you will have the opportunity to speak to your background, your history, and the violation. So would you like to make a statement regarding any of that at this time, Mr. Symes?
No.
So I'm going to move forward with my recommendation. And at this time, after reviewing all the evidence presented, I do recommend that you serve an approximate 1-year period of confinement as a sanction with the re-parole date of August 15, 2025. And in addition, I will make following recommended, I will recommend the following conditions: no alcoholic beverage consumption, behavioral management program for domestic violence, no contact with your victim IM and KJ, a general no contact with CM and ER, a mental health evaluation, no contact with minors, problem sexual behavior treatment. What's your housing choice? Do you need a halfway house, Mr. Symes, or do you have a sponsor?
No.
Which one? Do you have a sponsor?
I have to make a phone call.
The halfway house?
I have to make a phone call.
You have to make a phone call now. Oh, for a sponsor. So if in the meantime you get one, that's fine. So for now, we'll do a halfway house stipulation as well. That way you have somewhere to go. What is your location choice? Hartford, Bridgeport, New Haven, Norwich, or Waterbury? Hartford. So also recommend a halfway house placement with Hartford. And in the meantime, you can try to find a sponsor if someone's available. So my findings and recommendations will be forwarded to the board on November 14th, 2024, and you'll receive a written notice from the board after that date. The board may lessen my recommended sanction, they may let my recommended sanction stand, or they may impose a sanction longer than what I've recommended. And if they do choose to go with a longer sanction, there will be a supplemental hearing where the board will provide you with written notice documenting the specific reasons why they might want to exceed my recommendation. And during that supplemental hearing, you'll have the opportunity to respond to the specific reasons in front of the panel. At this time, Mr. Sens, do you have any questions for me?
No.
Okay, then you are all set. This concludes the revocation hearing, and I'm going off the record. Thank you.
No parole for Tate.
Okay,
No parole for Tate.
so
No parole for Tate.
No parole for Tate. Now, on that note of no parole for Tate, I realize I want to see that parole hearing again. I kind of forgot how it went, so we're gonna watch it after. Of course, if you've seen it already, you can go. You don't need to stick around. But I thought it would be interesting to see it again after this hearing. So we're gonna do that. But first, let me just tell you what happened. So, and I can tell you because I really get lost listening, but Sir Richard has it so nicely in the notes. He was revoked, as we can see, and he's going to get reparoled on 8/15/2025. So couldn't August 2025 come any faster? Because and Sir Richard has this too in the notes, and I couldn't agree with him more. He's going to fail on his sex offender registry. Like, you can tell, this guy, we're going to see him again. Now, his special parole ends 12/14/2026. So that means that he's got plenty of time for us to see another revocation hearing. And there's nothing in what we saw that can make us believe that we won't see him again. So, yeah, I have nothing else to add to this. Let me know in the comment section how you feel about me mixing into things like the no parole for Tate, the cat face, and whatnot. Up until now, I have kept a pretty serious posture when it comes to these parole hearings. So I don't want to veer away from any direction if you feel that it's offensive or not taking the process seriously. Again, I wouldn't do this for certain. In this case, it's just different. He harmed a child. He's a giant man baby, and I don't know. I just feel it's different. But you tell me. I could use a good check on this. If you think I'm going off, I want to make sure that I don't veer off of what it's something. It's good to be kept in check. So, anyways, with that, let's go say hello to Mr. Tate once again.
Talk about my anger issues. I understand.
Mr. Tate, we
I
are
understand.
the parole board.
I'm not
You need to
getting
listen.
eligible for parole because I have
You need
anger
to
issues.
listen when we're speaking, Mr. Tate.
No parole for Tate.
Okay,
No parole for Tate.
so
No parole for Tate. None.
okay.
Mr. Tate is not getting parole because of anger issues. That's what's going on here. No parole.
Well, this is going to be interesting. We are about to watch the full parole hearing out of the state of Connecticut for a man who is serving 10 years and 6 months for serious injury of an elderly person and also possession of a firearm. Let's jump in, and at the end, I'll unpack the details.
Name and inmate number for the record.
Raheem Tate, 339-558.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration for parole application for Raheem Tate, 339-558. He is serving a sentence of 10 years, 6 months, parole for assault versus carrying anything, a dangerous weapon, assault public safety officer, assault third, and an elderly person. As of today, records reflect a eligibility date of April 5th, 24. There's no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed. It shows the offender has completed anger management, alternative to violence, and alternative to violence advance. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system scores, the offender overall score for recidivation falls in the high range. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you should be granted parole. Baby Ed.
Mr. Tate,
What'd you say?
We need to hear from you why you think you should be granted parole.
I felt like, I did enough time, been through enough incidents, where I had to hold my head and stuff like that. So as far as like getting out earlier, that's one of the reasons why I think I should be granted parole. And on top of that, like, I got too much going for me in my life. So that's the other reason.
Okay. Well, the way it's going to work today, Mr. Tate, can you turn around and look at us so that we know you're hearing what we're saying?
Turn around and look at what?
Can you look at us so that we know that you hear what we're saying?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So we're going to take turns to ask you questions. And then when we're done, we will deliberate on the record and then tell you what our decision is. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to ask Mr. Cole to begin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Mr. Tate.
Morning.
So you had the chance of taking anger management and alternative violence during this incarceration, right?
Yeah.
And you did that in 2017 and 2019, right?
Yeah.
So can you tell me why what happened last February happened?
You talking about the assault incident
Uh-huh.
in Corrigan?
Yes.
All right. They got certain rules in their cafeteria where they want you to fill in all their seats or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So one of the staff members, or COs, I should say, was pointing me to fill in the seat. And I told him, step to the side so I could sit down. So he continued to tell me sit in the seat while he's blocking the seat. So that's how the physical altercation happened. It made more sense for him to move out the way and let me sit down. Like, I don't know if this dude has, mental issues or what, but he should just got out the way and let me sit down. You can't block this seat and tell an inmate to sit down.
Okay, but what I read was that while you were supervising the restricted housing unit, escort Tate was secured in handcuffs when he intentionally struck the supervisor with a kick to the, well, wait a minute, I'm sorry. That wasn't last February, that was 2 years before, where you intentionally struck the supervisor with a kick to the left side. Was that you?
You got me confused now, because I specifically asked you, was this incident in Corrigan? You said, yeah. I have not kicked a staff member in Corrigan.
Okay,
I kicked a staff member in Cheshire.
So why I'm confused, right? Because you have 22 disciplinary reports and a bunch of them involve violence, right? So I'm sorry that I got which time you assaulted a DOC person. I'm sorry I got it mixed up on you. So let me go back and take a look here. So what you're talking about is just a flagrant disobedience. Or
Can I ask you something real quick?
yep.
All right. You want me to explain what happened in a certain incident, right?
I want you to explain. Here's what I want you to explain. Just let me cut to the chase. you took programs in 2017 and 2019. There were alternatives to violence and alternatives to violence advanced, right?
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
also took anger management. But in the meantime, it's like since then, it's like there's been like a couple of assaults on a DOC employee, threats and fighting and such, right?
Yeah, you want me to explain the cause of these?
What I'm trying to get was, if you took the programming, why is the behavior still continuing?
Because like they're like you want me to sit there and explain all of them or just one of them? Because I could do either or.
No. In general, what I want to know is, why is it that in 2017 and 2019 you took programming that dealt with?
I understand what you're saying. So you want me to start from the top and explain the first incident off the top?
No, I don't want you to even talk. Don't even talk to me about incidents. Why is it that you took the programming and the behavior is continuing to happen? That's what I want to know, right? Because when you go to DOC and you do programming, right? Isn't it so that the behavior changes? Right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to get at, you know? So why is it that the behavior continues to happen?
Whoa. You know, probably because, you know, certain people shouldn't be in the same area as me. You get what I'm saying? They got people like all type of mental issues and stuff like that, that the staff member in the facility knows that they not fully recovering from the mental issues and stuff like that. That has happened several times. The person is explaining that they have a mental issue. The person is telling them they don't want to be around anybody. It's almost like they telling the staff member that it's about to be a physical altercation and stuff like that. So this person tells me that before I get in the cell, and then I'm telling the staff member like, oh, well, he's saying his issues, like, I don't think I should go in the cell with him. He's like, no, everything's fine. Go in the cell, yada, yada, yada. So boom, I go in the cell with this guy, and, you know, he does, you know, something that's close to like a sexual assault. So now who's to blame for that? And you telling me to go in the cell with him. Blame the staff member for that. So after he does this certain incident or whatever, I get out the cell, I get moved to a single cell, then a staff member comes and questions me about what's going on. I'm like, there's nothing going on. Y'all did the best y'all could do. Y'all moved me out the cell to a single cell. The situation is over. So like, they're instigating the situation and stuff like that. And the situation was already resolved. So now they're placing me in handcuffs for no reason. I'm like, why are you placing me in handcuffs? Like, the problem solved. I told you there's no issues now. So why are you still instigating? Like, I know you most likely should be well educated and you should have had enough sense to just leave the situation alone. So now it's like you got yourself into that situation. So if you need me to be more specific.
No, I mean, what I'm trying to get at, and really, I mean, it's like, what we're trying to do is figure out if you're suitable for parole in the community, right? Discretionary parole.
All right.
Because the judge in his wisdom already put you on 8 years of special parole, right? But what we're trying to do is discretionary parole is really something that's earned, right? And what we look for here is, have you done programming that's changed the behavior that wound you up here, right? And what I'm looking at is that the behavior that wound you up there is, you know, is angry, assaultive kind of behavior. And then we look at the DRs, which some people say they really don't indicate what's going to happen in the community. But if you were doing assaultive behavior before you got here, and then the angry assaultive behavior continues, what's going to happen on discretionary parole? And that's what I'm trying to find. And, you know, it's like,
All right, I get what you're saying. You're saying like, all right, you took anger management classes. It seems like it doesn't work. That's what you're saying?
that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anger management
Right.
and alternative to violence. Basic and advanced, right?
All right, that's all you're saying, right?
Yeah.
All right. Now, as a staff member in the correctional facility, staff members learn that people with high mental health issues do not work well with people that never had mental health issues. This is where the problem is at with one of them. With one of these assault on DOCs, that was the cause of the problem.
Mr. Tate,
Yeah.
can I stop you? So, those issues are not, we're addressing your behavior, not another inmate or not another staff person. We're focusing today on your disciplinary reports. And my colleague, Mr. Cole, is asking, you completed 3 programs,
Yes, I
but
understand what
there's
you're
been
saying.
no change in your behavior.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we got everything clear now, right? You saying the anger management classes was not working. You seem to be angry. That's what you're saying, right?
That's what it looks like in front of me.
Just be clear. Let's just be clear. The
Okay.
anger management classes was not working.
Right?
Now, my reason for them to not be working or whatever is like, you know, out the window. It doesn't matter. You saying I should have control of myself. That's what you're saying. No, not you. In the middle, you, that's what you're saying, right?
That's what we're both saying.
Right.
Yeah.
We're saying the
So you're saying-
same thing.
That's what we're both saying, because the last thing that we
Yeah.
want to do is waste the parole officer's time, put you out on discretionary parole for 5 minutes to get you brought back in until September of 2025. So that's
Yeah.
what we're trying to get at. So if we're
So
wasting our time,
you're not asking me what's the cause of the anger issues or nothing. You're just explaining that, oh, you have anger issues. It doesn't seem like we could do anything for you. That's what you're saying.
No, that is not what I said. What I said was you had the programming. Why is the behavior continuing? And I'm getting nothing from you except this other guy did this. So I still reacted the same way, right? If somebody's got a mental health issue, somebody's got, just in the real world.
Excuse me.
If somebody's got a mental health issue.
I'm talking politely here. Excuse me.
No, Mr. Tate. Mr. Cole is speaking, so you need to listen to what he's saying.
If somebody's got a mental health issue, right?
Right.
You get that they have a mental health issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's not their fault. So we try to do a little bit more if we have our faculties about us, because somebody else is struggling with something. It's not all about us, right? And that's what's happening out here. And if I'm looking at what happened when you were out here, it doesn't seem that you get that. Right? It's not all about us all the time. It's trying to understand other people and trying to give people the same kind of.
I understand the anger management class is not working. Anger management is not working for me. Understand that. So let's move on.
So
let's move on.
You know what? I'm done. This isn't going to work out in terms of discretionary parole for me.
Okay.
Because we can't even have a conversation. So I don't even want to put a parole officer through that on discretionary.
Right. Okay. So for me, Mr. Tate, you
have anger issues.
I am.
Mr. Tate has anger issues. That's it. We can't work with Tate. He's an angry person. That's it. It's true.
Can I speak now?
No.
If you're gonna continue to talk about my anger issues, I understand.
Mr. Tate, we
I
are
understand.
the parole board.
I'm not
You need
getting
to listen.
eligible for parole because I have
You need
anger
to
issues.
listen when we're speaking, Mr. Tate.
No parole for Tate.
Okay?
No parole for Tate.
So,
No parole for Tate. None.
But
Okay.
Mr. Tate is not getting parole because of anger issues. That's what's going on here. No parole.
are you finished?
Be an adult, and tell Mr. Tate he has no parole. That's all you gotta do. That's where you're going.
Mr. Dorgan,
You're not being an adult right now. It's obvious. I'm being an adult. All that stuff, that's not an adult-like situation.
Mr. Tate,
It's too obvious to see what's going on here. Too obvious.
and what is that?
Now your position in power is obvious. My position in power is obvious. People don't follow instructions and get themselves in a wrong situation. It happens every day, every 2 seconds. Every 2 seconds.
So,
You
Mr.
don't
Tate,
follow instructions.
you're going to have to stop and listen so that we can tell you what our decision is. Okay? And it's
I know
obvious
your
that
decision.
I'm
It's
speaking.
obvious.
Excuse me. You need to not say anything more and listen to what we have to say. Okay?
yeah,
That's okay.
Okay. So in the case of Raheem Tate, inmate number 339,
Madam Chair, I just want to input.
go ahead.
So it's obvious that we just tried to get through to Mr. Tate, who now left the room. And there was no getting through. He had taken anger management and alternatives to violence well before the disciplinary reports on that involve fighting and assault on DOC employees. Releasing him on discretionary parole is just, for me, it's out of the question. I hope that somebody sits him down and explains that if this kind of behavior continues on special parole, that you'll be sitting your 8 years back inside and not the community. But the situation is that you just can't respond to other people in a violent way. That's why the prison system exists, and that's why parole exists. So based upon that, what I have no alcohol, halfway house placement, mental health evaluation and treatment is deemed necessary, acknowledging that it's a 1. However, there's something more going on here that needs to be dealt with. Anger management, no contact with victim LW, and my denial reason, nature and circumstance, inadequate evidence that the change in force adjustment.
I had criminal history, inadequate evidence of offender change because he took program for institution of adjustment.
That's fine.
What was the other one? Nature. Okay.
Criminal history.
So I will give you my reasons. So I looked at Mr. Tate's criminal history, and I looked at his behavior during incarceration. Nothing has changed. He took the appropriate programs, anger management, alternative to violence, both basic and advanced, and his behavior continued based on the 22 disciplinary reports he received. So for me, his behavior outside continues on the inside. So those are my reasons for denial. Mr. Dark.
So anyways, here's the skinny. Mr. Tate first came into the interview not looking at us. We had to look for him to engage. And as our questioning went on, he says, I'm not going to get parole. and he walked out of the interview prior to us giving him our reasons or talking about it. So he was argumentative throughout the whole process, especially with you, Mr. Paul, just trying to give him the opportunity to get to the bottom. And by the time it got to Chairwoman Chance, it really went downhill and he walked out. So I don't want to be repetitive. Both of you are already, I'm on the same page.
So it's victim LW, and did we want to put the tenant?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
No alcohol, behavior management for anger management, MHE valid treatment at halfway house.
Yeah, halfway house, alcohol, mental health eval, victim.
In the case of Raheem Tate, inmate number 339558, there is a motion to deny request for discretionary parole for these reasons: nature and circumstances of a current offense, criminal history, inadequate evidence of offender change, and poor institutional adjustment. And as a notation, Mr. Tate was not present for us to tell him what our decision is. He got up and walked out before we were able to deliberate on the record and give him our decision. And because he has 8 years of special parole, there is a motion to grant to set the following special parole conditions: no contact with victim LW, no consumption of alcohol, behavior management for anger management, mental health evaluation and treatment as deemed necessary, and release to a halfway house. Do I have a second? All those in favor say aye.
This includes a hearing for Raheem Tate.
You are trash, Lindsay.
Okay, I totally forgot how that hearing went. And if you remember, did you see the guy in the background who was pacing through the whole hearing, and he had the yellow jumpsuit on, and then at the end of he takes it off, and then so this is the hearing. We're not going to watch it now, but we'll just run a clip by it because I forgot about this hearing. He actually tried to pull a quick one by taking his yellow jumpsuit off, and he's wearing it because he had tried to escape prison, and he shows up. He didn't want to do his parole hearing in the yellow jumpsuit, and you see him taking it off. He doesn't realize. It's funny. But before we watch that clip, and I'll let you go, but it just, this. So basically, they denied him, but they set his conditions for when he does get out on special parole, and it's just, you just can't with these hearings. There are some people that I don't know, are they institutionalized? What is it? What really is there to talk about here? Let's see. 10 years, 6 months, assault first degree is what he did. And I don't know what else there was on this case, but you know that assault first degree, 10 years, that it's pretty serious. You don't just get that crime. So anyways, thank you, Sir Richard, for everything. Thank all of you beautiful Mandalorians for everything, and let me know in the comment section. But I'll put a link to this hearing if you haven't seen it. It's one that you got to see, another Connecticut classic, but we'll leave with watching just a little bit of it. So let's go.
Can you tell us why you're in a yellow jumpsuit?
Because when I got extradited here from New York, car in front of you, car in back of you, and it's just a lot. So when they took me to the hospital, it was only one officer with no firearm, and it was no escort, nothing. So when I was like, no, I didn't mean nothing bad. I was just trying to say that from coming from New York point of view and over here, security thing is crazy because I'm used to certain, they're making a big deal and shutting off the highways and they shut off.
That's the first error. You saw an opportunity where you could leave. You were expressing.
Talk about my anger issues. I understand.
Mr. Tate, we
I understand.
are the parole board.
I'm not getting eligible for parole because I have anger.
You need to listen when we're speaking, Mr. Tate.
No parole for Tate.
Okay.
No parole for Tate.
So.
No parole for Tate. None.
But
Mr. Tate is not getting parole because of anger issues. That's what's going on here. No parole.
You are trash, Lindsay. You are trash.
All right.